Alright, at this time, it's at least December the 10th, 2012. It's the second week of December sometime. Now you know the Illuminati is big on empire. They're always claiming empire. And New York is the empire state. So I decided that as long as have this ability to exorcise people from these dracks and demons, I might as well go right into the heart of the empire and go down to New York City. So I took the train out of Stamford, Connecticut into New York City. I don't know the city that well. I got to Grand Central Station. I turned left and I walked to 3rd Street. And I started walking down 3rd Street. And I got out of Manhattan into an area of 3rd Street that had more vendors on it. I passed a police precinct on the left-hand side. I kept on walking till it got to the point where there wasn't a lot of people out in the street. And at the end of 3rd Street, there's a baseball diamond with some like highways or overpasses rather in back of the baseball diamond. So it creates this under the bridge place over there. So I walked into the baseball diamond and I started walking underneath the bridges there. And I noticed that there was suitcases of women's clothes. It looked like a suitcase of women's clothes had been stolen from her. And the suitcase was laying there open and the clothes were all thrown around. And it had this extremely low frequency vibration to that area. So I go underneath the bridges and there's a crew of witches underneath there. And I got the feeling that there was something involved with strippers and runaways that would fall victim to this crew of witches. And there was 3 people sitting. I think it was 2 black kids and a white girl. And they wore glasses. All of them wore sunglasses and trench coats. And they were all sitting with big smiles on their faces. And they had their enforcer, which was a very large black male. And he was completely dracked out. And he was beckoning me to come to his side of the underpass. So this is back in my weed smoking days. After my weed dealer started coming up with less than adequate marijuana, he started producing synthetic marijuana that had a nasty sensation to it. I stopped smoking marijuana, but this was back in my marijuana smoking days, the good old days. So I just walked to one side of the underpass and I pulled out some weed and I smoked it up. And instantly, the demon, the drac that was inside this dude, just hit me. The demon just hit me, and I felt this just rage just build up in me. And where once he had begun like taunting me, all of a sudden his expression completely changed, and he started blinking his eyes, and he started to kind of have a whiny voice, and he looked like he was about to cry. And I felt like enraged, like I wanted to kill those people. The three younger people that were sitting, the smiles slowly faded from their faces as they saw their enforcer change like that. So I grinned, I gave him a thumbs up, and I walked back the way I came, carrying this freaking drac, which was a very dangerous creature. So I had to get out of there before there was some big issue out there at the end of 3rd Street. So I killed that drac a few blocks later, and the whole way back, there was all sorts of crews. I had respect for this one crew. They looked like they were out of China, a man and a woman, and they were strong, and they looked me in the eyes when we came to stop at a street corner. And a lot of the witches can't maintain eye contact, or they play little games, but they were dignified. And I respected this man and woman couple, and I could tell they were strong. And they were carrying some weight too. And I relieved them of this negative energy. And there were some other crews, but a lot of the witches were very unhappy, and some of the things they said, I hope you choke. You know, I was stealing their power in their minds. But not this Chinese couple. They were very dignified. So on the way back to the train station, I wanted to just basically gank all their power, annihilate this energy, get back to my place. I wasn't even supposed to be in New York because I didn't have permission to leave the state. So I wanted to get back soon. But when you're carrying all that weight, it's your eyes lose focus. So I could barely see when I got back to Grand Central Station. And not only I couldn't see the chart that they have on the wall that says which train terminal goes back to, Stamford, Connecticut. So I had to ask a few people, and they became very confused. Which terminal has the train that takes you back to Stamford? So I got back to Stamford and got back to my car, drove home, and meditated and annihilated all the drac and demon entities that I jacked from the Empire State there. But on Friday the 14th, I was at my job, and I think it was a little bit later in the afternoon or evening, I don't know what time it was, but I had gone down to the deli to get something to eat. And I was waiting at the counter for like a sandwich to be prepared, and a strange demon-possessed man ran in. He was heavy set, white hair and a beard, blue eyes, and he had the look of people who are possessed. They get this clouded look to their eyes. It's this strange clouded look to their blue eyes. It's not a clear crystal look of a normal person's blue eyes, but a very clouded look, as if their eyes have become like turquoise. And when someone who has dark eyes gets really possessed, their eyes get completely black. You'll see like no color but blackness. So he ran in and he was like, I wasn't really paying attention to what he was saying, but he ran in and he was like grinning at me, and he was excited about something. And he talked to the man behind the front counter while I was waiting by the deli to get my sandwich. So I didn't really pay attention to what the man said, and the man left. And I got the sandwich and I brought it up to the front counter to pay. And just to make small talk, I'm like, do you know why all this traffic is out in front? And he goes, yeah, didn't you hear what that guy just said? I'm like, no, I wasn't paying attention. He goes, there was a shooting in Newtown, Connecticut. And I'm like, well, how far away is Newtown? Like, Newtown is like an hour and a half drive, I think, from Stamford. Why would there be traffic all the way over here? And he shrugged. But I'm like, what type of shooting? And he's like, some guy shot a bunch of kids. And I was horrified at that news. And I searched my feelings, but something seemed to miss with that. Like, I didn't feel like that was entirely accurate. I think, knowing how I am and my connection with the Spirit, that I would have felt that. If there was something like that happen, I would have felt that. So then, of course, later on that night, when I drove back home, it was all over the radio. And for a few days that they didn't even say who was the shooter. And it was a lot of strange reports on the news, and the information was unclear as to what actually happened. Witches communicate with each other and with their targets using telepathy and other means, subliminal ways. And it was made very clear to me they wanted me to understand that I should stay the hell out of Newtown, or else I would get blamed for the incident that happened at Newtown. They said they would frame me for the incident that happened at Newtown if I didn't stay out of Newtown, because they knew at that point that I was, in their opinion, I was stealing everybody's power, but I was annihilating this power. So there were some very evil witches at Newtown that were doing a spell on Newtown, and that's how they focused. A lot of negative energy from the whole planet was focused, of negative energy at that area, and that's the beginning. And some of you might know that what the Illuminati sometimes does is advertise to everyone what they're going to do before they do it, and see if anyone's going to come down and face them.